Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the English Shooting live stream. I hope you've all had a fantastic past week. I can certainly say mine has been interesting and maybe not as productive on anything that really matters as I quite would have hoped. But as always, thank you very much for joining. For anyone new, well, welcome and thanks for stopping by. This is where we talk about all the past week's shooting news and topics, even if they do seem to be about myself. But get involved. There is a chat box. You can pose questions. I will be, overly offering for anybody, certainly UKPSA members, to pose any questions that they may have for myself. But you can get involved. Anything else that we want to discuss this evening, you can have your opinions heard. Any other topics you want to raise or any questions about shooting sports in general, feel free to put them in that chat box, and I will do my best to get to you. So yes, obviously last week I was very adamant that I wasn't going to get into this. I wasn't going to discuss it until the UKPSA as a whole had the opportunity to respond to the various serious but yet unfounded, baseless, and well, as of right now, no evidence to support allegations, mainly against myself, but I'm sort of used to it at this point. And I think more worryingly and more concerning, whilst it might be water off a duck's back for me at this point, against the whole of the UKPSA Council. The allegations include, but are not limited to, fraud, theft, corruption, basically just anything you could possibly do in a position, of responsibility, and I'm sure all of the UKPSA members that are watching this have just received the letter, which you are free to read, but I won't be publicating it at the moment. I won't be showing it, and I would ask that anybody that has any specific questions about that letter, that as requested by our chairman, Andy Williams, that you direct your questions to him, because little unknown, but within our bylaws and the way that the association runs, whilst that letter has been shared to our membership, it has not yet been approved to be publicly shared. So anybody publicly sharing that document, including myself, reading from it or even showing you it on stream, would be in violation of our social media policy and in violation of our bylaws. I believe it will be going public within the next 24 hours, but as of yet, our main priority is to the membership, and it's gone out to the members. And yes, I can confirm that a certain shooting range has already shared it publicly. So obviously I'm more aware of our bylaws and social media policies than they are, but after the video that was released last week, I think that pretty much goes without saying. Now, I don't really know, I genuinely really don't know where to start. I have spent far too much time, and in some twisted way of torture, have watched that video far too many times for my liking, and every single time I just genuinely don't know where to start. So if you do have any particular questions about it, then I would be more than happy to face them directly. Whilst I won't be publicating the letter or quoting from the letter, you're free to ask me any questions that you may want. Again, as the thumbnail shows, there's absolutely nothing to hide. There is no corruption. There is no stealing of members' money or use of members' money for my own gain. If that is the case, I would like to have evidence, tangible, factual evidence, not fabricated, manipulated hearsay, produced to show that, because it's the general structure and the general way it's been this year is that I think even if I proactively wanted to go out there and do any of the things that I've been accused of and the rest of council have been accused of, it would near on be impossible. And I would just like to add, I bought the GT4 well before I came treasurer, before anyone wants to make that quib. So I think starting from the beginning of the video, and I think the most important personal point to address is this accusation that I have previously been charged with a violent crime. Now, anybody that genuinely supports this channel and has watched this channel for any meaningful period of time will know that I've been incredibly transparent about the circumstances and the history of my the revocation and other issues that I've had with firearms licensing. Again, I have absolutely nothing to hide with that. I have put detailed accounts of the night in question on Facebook for the public to see, and I have covered it more times than I can count. Yet, still 8 years down the line, we are still covering it. But most importantly, because this thing always seems to gain a little bit of momentum, and every single time it's told back to me, there seems to be some slight change or addition or over dramatization of some aspect of it. I have never been charged with a violent offense. I have never been charged with any offense other than speeding. And anybody that is going out and saying anything otherwise is either clearly demonstrating their misunderstanding of the circumstances, or are doing it deliberately to tarnish my own reputation and to basically defame me. So yes, the issue with the individual involved around these allegations is that it has been ongoing for a very, very long time. And yes, of course, because I'm very particular in what I do, I have more screenshots, videos, and documentation of every single interaction that I've ever had with that individual, probably bigger than I could actually fit on an SD card. So I am more than capable and able to provide the facts of the long-standing attacks that I have faced from this individual, and sort of where we have seemingly come to blows so many times is around the circumstances and the facts around the revocation and issues that I've had with firearms licensing. For some reason, they feel it appropriate, or they feel obliged to when anybody seems to mention me or want to know more about the circumstances around the revocation, or issues that they are obviously best placed to talk on my behalf, rather than tagging me and allowing me to talk from the horse's mouth. So let's like, do I want to sit here and recover old ground? I don't know. You ask me. Do you want to know the ins and outs of it once again, or are we just happy that what I've been saying for the last 8 years is not some concoction? I guess as a slight recap, in 2016, well, the issues actually go back to 2015, November 2015, I released a video around the Paris attacks. It got the attention of police and firearms licensing. And then in 2016, March 2016, I had an allegation made against me of assault. No charges were ever brought forward for that. And the matter was dropped with no further action. Unfortunately, that triggered a revocation. And I've been very, very clear since the start that it was the allegation that triggered the revocation. I ended up going into an appeal. The judge, in the summary, quoted that it was an accumulative effect of the allegation, the views and videos and content that I had been putting out on EnglishShooting, and also the confusion around the request to voluntarily surrender my certificates. Again, something that I've been very, very clear about from day one. Obviously being put into that situation, it wasn't one that at the time was very familiar with or knowledgeable about. And, they asked me to voluntarily surrender the certificates for the purpose of review. And I asked naively whether the review could take place there and then and avoid having to have the tickets taken away or handed over. That was taken as a refusal, and the revocation was issued. But I would say, in fairness, 60, probably 60 to 80% of the appeal focused on the non-mainstream views that I held, and the content that was put on the channel. And the thing is, I have reams and reams of emails. Actually, I probably should have had it up and up and ready. Now, I will be doing a full, more coherent, concise video on this. There's a lot that I want to say, and I think it has to be said in the right way. And doing it on stream with bourbon in hand is probably fraught with danger in not relaying exactly in the right way that I want to relay things. Let me quickly bring up. But one of the points that, again, on a personal note, that I want to address absolutely head on, is this notion that it's nothing to do with the videos, it's nothing to do with the content. And personally, I think this is incredibly dangerous, right? It's not just dangerous for me, but it's actually uh, very dangerous advice, or a very sort of dangerous bit of misinformation to be putting out there online. The police very much do care what you put out there online, what videos and content that you want to cover, and what comments those videos and that content attracts. Right. And I'm not just talking about myself here. Talking to Johnny at TGS out the country, TG, TGS outdoors. Even they have had issues, and Johnny steers well clear of any sort of anything that you could consider controversial or difficult topics. And certainly I think TGS mostly, well, certainly I've never seen any politics on there. And yet even though they have had words with Hampshire Firearms Licensing about the content and what they're showing and what they're doing. I remember Sam from SRS Power. Now, Sam was, I think, fairly it's fairly fair to say that he was more political than I was. Even at my height of political discussion, he was far more political, and would, I think, purposely touch on quite difficult, controversial topics. So he had words with them. I think even Neil Ragg of Rack and Load has had words. I think more words of support and guidance, but certainly more. As soon as you start putting videos out there online, as soon as you start promoting this sport online, at the very, very root base of it, they seem to want to come after you. Sorry, I just need to send a couple of bits, because I'm sure the recipient will appreciate it, and is probably watching. So, hello. Just for their records. Sorry. Official business while streaming. That's you never want to mix those. So, where was it? Yeah. So this whole notion that the police don't care about content, they don't care about comments. It's complete rubbish. It is the reason why I don't currently have a certificate. Yes, the allegation of assault triggered the revocation, but the reason that they have been unwilling so far to reissue my certificates is purely down to the channel and the content that I have put out. I do see a few different comments here and there. I will get to them in short order. So what I'm about to show you is an email between myself and the then head of Hampshire Firearms Licensing, Mr. Tony Hill. Now, the email that you're going to see is an email to him, in which I summarize the meeting that we had 2 years after the revocation. So this would have been, I think it was early 2018. The date's actually on the email, so you'll see that in a sec. So I had a meeting with him on with my that's after 2 years after I was advised with by my legal counsel, wait a period of 2 years, reapplied. I did that. I then get a meeting request from Tony Hill, and we sit down. The meeting 2 years on didn't once mention the allegation at all. It purely focused on the on the channel and the content on the channel. So what you're going to see is an email that I've sent to Tony summarizing the email, and Tony has responded in blue to the agreed constraints that the Hampshire Firearms basically wanted to put on me for a further period of 2 years. So bring that up now, just make sure it's up there. 26th of April 2018. Hello, Tony. Thank you once again for agreeing to meet with me. I also very much appreciate how quickly we were able to meet. As I'm sure you understand, the outcome of the meeting was not what I had hoped. Now, basically the outcome of the meeting was because of concerns around the channel and concerns around the content, they were still not happy basically proceeding with my application. Now, they didn't issue a rejection. They basically, Tony said there's a high likelihood that it's going to be rejected. Now, knowing what I know now and speaking to the various people that I've spoken to, I very much think that in hindsight this was a bluff. They didn't have enough to refuse me with a high likelihood that it wouldn't be overturned at appeal, so they decided to apply a lot of pressure instead, which again, I think, being certainly a lot more inexperienced and a lot more naive than I am now, I ended up falling for. So your belief that there is a high likelihood that my application will be rejected is very disheartening, certainly given my efforts over the past 2 years to rectify all concerns raised in my appeal. The frustration for me moving forward is that the concerns raised by yourself in the meeting and reasons given for why my application is likely to be rejected were only made aware to me in the meeting on Monday. I would like to assure you that if the concerns had been raised sooner, I would have done my utmost to remove them. A rejection of my application and raising an appeal is something I certainly want to avoid. The appeal 2 years ago was not a pleasant experience. I'm grateful in this case for the opportunity to remove my application before any potential rejection can take place. My understanding from the meeting is that Firearms Licensing Department and Hampshire Constabulary would like to see the following from myself before a likely rejection can be converted to a likely approval of my application. Complete moderation of all comments on the English Shooting YouTube videos and other social media platforms. Agreed. Again, the blue different font is Tony Hill. An online and public clarification that I do not currently hold either an FAC or an SGC. I cannot advise you on this. You must decide, but bear in mind our conversation about the impression you have previously given in your posts, I've got a silver pigeon. Now, he was a little bit cunning with this one because he sort of knew exactly what I was, basically calling him out for. But within the meeting, he was very adamant that he felt that because I hadn't publicly clarified that I no longer had an FAC or an SGC, I was effectively misleading people by still shooting and saying my silver pigeon. Now, the facts of it is my silver pigeon. It still is my silver pigeon. I purchased that and acquired it when I had lawful authority to buy it. It is still my property, despite not having an FAC or an SGC. An FAC or an SGC has nothing to do with possession and ownership. It's only it has everything to do with possession and nothing to do with ownership. So it was just the impression that Tony Hill felt that I was not giving the best impression of it, saying my silver pigeon. But he sort of backtracked a little bit in what he actually confirmed. But I think you can get the general gist that they want me to certainly be more clear, which ultimately led me to doing the public statement that I did before shutting down the channel. And the reason I shut down the channel were the following points. Removal of myself as the face of English Shooting, taking a behind the camera role only, My views are that if you are to remain as the face of English shooting, it should not provide a forum for comments and material that is not in keeping with the mainstream views. Please define to me what a mainstream view actually is. But it is for you to decide whether or not this is in keeping with the purpose and ethos of English shooting, and whether or not you should be associated with the forum, either openly or otherwise. No further pictures or videos of me handling firearms from, again, what was said in the interview or the meeting. Again, there was a lot more, I think, pressure than is insinuated by Tony's response to the previous one, to remove myself basically from English shooting, and not being able to handle firearms on pictures or videos. Firstly, there is actually, as I have found out later on, no legal basis to impose that on anybody who is not a prohibited person. And for clarity, as I do need to keep claritizing, I keep on needing to make clear or providing clarity. I've never been a prohibited person. So within law, specifically called the TV and film exemption, which specifically allows people without firearm or shotgun certificates to have in their possession firearms for the purpose of TV and film. And it is well regarded that YouTube is amongst TV and film. So really, there was no legal basis to impose that on me, and there actually exists a specific exemption in law to facilitate that. But as I'm sure you can imagine, running a YouTube channel, not being able to handle firearms in pictures or videos is incredibly difficult, which again was one of the main points that led to me shutting down the channel for a year. My sponsorship with Blue Field Sports, at the time I was sponsored by Blue Field Sports, as a, I guess I could technically say represent them. So that's right, pro shooter, right here with your own eyes. My sponsorship with Blue Field Sports to be offline only, so as it to avoid me acting in a servant role. Agreed. Again, it's actually against the legislation for firearms licensing departments to wrongly classify servants, and acting as a sponsored shooter is not acting as a servant. But again, this hindered my ability to be online and promote the various brands that I was a part of at the time, which again led to the closure of the channel, and a period of a further 2 years before reapplication to demonstrate the above. Agreed from now. So as you can see, the summary of this interview that I've given to Tony, and he has come back and agreed and commented, there is no mention here about violent behavior, allegations, solely focused on the channel, the content, and specifically the comments on that content. So again, anybody going out there saying otherwise without any facts or evidence, well, that is just lies. It's hearsay at best. There is a clear, cemented bit of fact that the issues that I face are around the channel and the content that I put on there. Fast forward, and I've covered this recently on the channel as well. Fast forward 2 years, it's 2020. The 2 years pass and I go to reapply, but of course all of the firearms licensing departments are closed because of COVID. And then Hampshire Firearms Licensing decide that they don't agree with some of the use of firearms that I have, publicized over the previous year or two. So they decided to launch a formal investigation lasting 18 months. And of course, during which my application, even though I had submitted it when they reopened, was not able to be progressed. The 3 points around the investigation was me handling a Mars after the Offensive Weapons Bill received royal assent, although it only became an offence to actually possess or use one after the compensation scheme had concluded. So despite providing a letter from the Home Office, or it's actually a screenshot from the Home Office website telling them this, Hampshire disagreed and interpreted it differently. No further action on that point. There was then me using a Mars 4570, which they were like, well, what's your lawful authority to possess and shoot that? I said, well, I'm a full member of a Home Office approved club, and any full member of a Home Office approved club can take possession of a rifle in the pursuit of target shooting. And I was shooting at targets. There was a slight discussion about club ranges and regular ranges that the club used. And again, there's no sort of mention of that within the legislation or guidance. I'm like, a person can, in a safe and reasonable setting, take part in target shooting as a full member of a Home Office approved club. So that was dropped with no further action. And then there was the whole discussion of me as a servant of an RFD, because I used to be as a servant of Blue Field Sports, using a Section 1 shotgun within competition. They didn't like that, but as a servant of an RFD, you're allowed to take possession and use firearms in the course of business, and marketing, promotion, testing and development, research and development. All of that was part of the RFD. So that was dropped with no further action. And despite having videos of me shooting all of those guns and me giving a written statement under caution and sitting a face-to-face interview under caution, and admitting and declaring and stating that, yes, that is me shooting that exact gun that you have accused me of shooting under these circumstances on this date at this time at this location, but here is my my lawful authority or my exemption under law to be able to do so. So despite having all of that, they dropped the case due to a lack of evidence. Or more aptly, as my solicitor likes to say, a lack of legal merit. Literally, there'd been no offences committed. What they didn't like wasn't against the law, and you can't just prosecute people for what you don't like. You have to have actually broken the law. I know, it might seem silly. So the investigation was all closed, and my application was able to continue. And I had my FEO interview in April 2022. April 2022. And then in September 2022, Hampshire Firearms Licensing then decided that they still weren't entirely happy and sure, despite investigating me for 18 months, around my use of a Section 1 shotgun within competition as a servant, and required to get external legal advice, additional external independent legal advice, to just make sure that obviously nothing bad had happened, and they of course wouldn't want to progress an application if there was any suspect of wrongdoing. So the last that was September 2022. The last contact that my solicitor had with Hampshire Firearms Licensing was, I think, January or February 2023. So we're now talking getting on for 2 years that they've been seeking external expert independent legal advice on the matter of a servant using a firearm under the RFD and for the purpose of the RFD. And despite that, they are still not able to present any wrongdoing to myself. And all of this time, well, not all of it, but for a combined period now of 3 years, I have been a servant of an RFD, and I still remain to be a servant of an RFD. So, basically, in short, I am at a genuine loss to why I can be entered as a servant of 2 separate RFDs within Hampshire. And despite them having the ability to take action, they have actually they have actually stated that they would not take action against me being appointed as a servant, despite them having the ability to do so, but yet they're not able to come to a decision about my certificate. So ultimately, if Hampshire really did hold valid and genuine concerns about my suitability, why would they not just refuse my application and require me to be removed as a servant of the RFD? Ultimately, I just think I've obviously annoyed someone somewhere, or Hampshire just really don't want me to be on to have a personal certificate despite being a servant, and they don't have the grounds to formally refuse the certificate, because I think that they probably understand that there's a very high likelihood that the application would be or the rejection would be overturned at appeal. So they're just holding me in this holding pattern. And this is why I say to people about the voluntarily surrendering and the mechanisms that firearms licensing can use to just hold people in holding patterns. There's no legal mechanism to force Hampshire to either approve, issue, or reject my certificate. So that is the pretty much full shebang of my current circumstances. But as just provided and discussed, it currently it has absolutely nothing to do with any previous allegations. It is purely down to the content and shooting that I get up to, that they just really don't seem to like. Right then. So that's I think well covered the personal aspect of this. Let's get into maybe the more nitty gritty of these allegations of corruption and fraud and all of the like. So, or people just want to know about SRS Power. Maybe they got to him too. Uh, no, Sam basically gave up the channel. He got a job. I think there was a conflict with his job, and he was dedicating more and more time traveling all over the world for what he was doing, and just basically I think it was a mixture of not having time to continue with the channel, but the channel being in conflict with the work that he was doing and the previous issues that he had experienced because of the channel. So yeah, he hasn't been black bagged and hidden. He's done it of his own free will, we think, but maybe they did get to him. Black Guinea Pig, I think it would be beneficial to cover exactly what happened, but it's your business, and as you say, you weren't charged. The accusation of assault always seems to be what people hone in on. Yes, it is. An accusation can be made by any person at any time with absolutely no basis, evidence, or you know, of foundings. Just like the other accusations that have been leveled against myself in the UKPSA. So there are a smattering of different allegations. Some, I think there's one that's potentially laughable, but all the rest of them are incredibly serious. So let's have a quick skim through. What's the next one? Actually, if I switch to this one, let's get rid of that. And I'm small. Why is that? There we go. So let's go through. I've got various notes and so on and so forth. Oh yes, the of course my collusion with Caliber Innovations, exchanging publicity for votes. Well, you know, yes, I think it's fair to say that I'm very good friends with David, and a lot of the Caliber, Kentucky Firearms Club, and American Shooting Trips guys. I've been a member of Kentucky Firearms Club since 2016, and it is my main Home Office approved club. And yes, every single year since 2016, I have promoted either and or Kentucky Firearms Club, American Shooting Trips, and Caliber Innovations. And for those of you that don't know, the guys that run American Shooting Trips also run Caliber Innovations, and I would say it's fair to say most of the people that run Kentucky Firearms Club are also the people that run American Shooting Trips and Caliber Innovations. So whilst I have promoted them, and I've been on, you know, American Shooting Trips, been out to Kentucky, out to Utah, out to Netherlands as well. Not forgetting that trip. That was awesome. Even been out to Prague. I've been all over the world with those guys, right? And I greatly support what they do, especially the club. You know, Kentucky Firearms Club is one of, if not the most open and welcoming clubs in the UK. It was set up specifically to make it as easy and hassle-free to shoot as possible, and that is something I am incredibly passionate about. And you know, American Shooting Trips is all about making it as easy as possible to go and shoot the stuff that we can't go and shoot here. And you know, despite the cost of living crisis, it still remains the same price as it did back in, you know, 2016 2017 to go and do these trips. And Caliber Innovations, again, whilst it was started by somebody else, again, it was somebody else that had the same passions and same drive as the guys that run it now. One of which being David Kiddle. And Caliber Innovations is all about supplying the kit that we need to do as cost effectively as possible to the shooting community to not put up that barrier. So I absolutely love what they do. I've known the guys since 2016, and I have heavily promoted them on this channel since 2016. However, anybody is free to go through the videos for the last 12 months, and you will not see any promotion. Right, no promotion of Kentucky Firearms Club, no promotions of Caliber Innovations, no promotion of American shooting trips. Why? Mainly because I've just been too busy doing other things, like, oh yes, being treasurer of the UKPSA. But there has been no promotion. There's been the odd snippet video here when I've maybe related back to an old trip because it's come up in conversation, or I shot the Kel-Tec CP33 because it's a cool ass long barrel pistol, and it's a 33 round long barrel pistol with a double stack mag, and or like triple. Is it like a quad? Is it a quad stack mag? I forget. It's like just a cluster of ammunition within that magazine, and it's cool as hell. And I like shooting cool as hell guns, and I like sharing cool as hell guns. So there might be the odd clip here and there, but certainly compared to previous years, the amount of promotion that those guys have got from me this past 12 months is insignificant compared to other years. And a very important fact about exchanging said non-existent promotion for votes is that none of the directors of Caliber Innovations or employees were present at the 2023 UKPSA AGM. So this was an in-person AGM where you needed to be there to vote. So in not being there, and there is a register of everybody that attended. So that's, again, factual. I don't have it myself to actually provide to you guys, but I'm sure the secretary at the time might. But I could show that those guys were not there actually to cast their votes. So without any actual votes at the AGM and absolutely no promotion over the past 12 months, I am slightly confused how I have traded promotion for votes. If I'm missing something, then please challenge me, and let me know, because I'm still missing those votes, and they are still missing that promotion. The next big one, UKPSA shotgun cartridges. Now, this is like, I think just for context, the individual that these allegations are concerned or have come from, their involvement this year in the UKPSA has been attending one singular council meeting as an observer, and it would seem to an extent that they have somewhat fallen asleep halfway through, woken up probably half cut. We all suspect that the individual does like to get on the jungle juice and get on the keyboard in an evening, but I don't know. That may not even be the case. Who knows? But one can theorize. Anyway, it was obviously half listened to, or has been deliberately misinterpreted to what was said. So UKPSA cartridges. Now, this is a long-standing thing, arrangement and facility for UKPSA members that was put in place years before. I think even before I really got into practical. I got into practical shooting 2006, around 2016, which is actually when this started. Or 2017 this started. So around the time that I was literally just discovering the sport, this facility was opened up for the UKPSA members. Now, this facility of cartridges that the UKPSA purchases and then sells back to the members was created by the previous regional director, whilst he was in post with council approval. And the whole premise of these shotgun cartridges is to approach the manufacturer, or the previous regional director approached the manufacturer and said, look, what sort of size order would we have to put in to get a bulk discount, to get sort of a trade discount or below trade discount that we could then pass on to our members, right? So anybody that does shotgun will know the most expensive thing that you lay out for is shotgun cartridges. So I think it's quite a good benefit to the members if we have funds sat there available to bulk buy ammunition and pass that discount on to the members of the association. Now there is a very small fee attached to the cost price that is actually paid by the association, and that is purely to negate the interest that would otherwise be earned with that money sat in the bank. So, there's a big order placed, and the whole facility was run by, again, the previous regional director, and he would hand them out. He would take them to matches and distribute them for anybody that wanted to purchase them. But ultimately, all the funds were received back, or are received back, and the invoice, the £7,000 invoice that has supposedly been spent on cartridges for me to use for free and distribute to my friends as I see fit, was actually £6,192. I think you do have to be rather specific if you want to be running for a role like treasurer when it comes to money and finances. So £6,192, and that invoice relates to the last delivery that we had of these cartridges. Now, there is a limit of what, as treasurer, I can approve without authority from council, and it's £200, right? So anything over £200, I start to twitch, because it's like, I can't do this. I need to go to council, and obviously, being significantly more than £200, I wanted to run it by council. And a council approved the payment, as it was a previous order. We were due to pay the invoice, so we had to pay the invoice. But it has been made clear. Obviously, it's been brought to re-attention of council that this arrangement was put out there when we were pretty much only doing shotgun, or the associational members at the time were primarily only doing shotgun. And you look at mini rifle, how that's opened up, and how Action Air, and there's even more people doing handgun shooting now than full bore handgun shooting than ever before, with the facilities available in Northern Ireland, and the tireless work that the National Squad Directors put in to ensure that firearms are available abroad as well for matches like the Pan Ams and the European Handgun Championship. So, it's sort of not, if we're going to do it for one discipline, we should be doing it for all. So until we can really look at that properly and make sure that there is an equal facility across all disciplines, there will be no further order of shotgun cartridges. Again, it was a facility set up by the previous regional director. They have now left their post, but the order was placed in November. So the order was placed in November 2022. Again, this was like a month or two before I actually ran for the role of treasurer, and that order was split in two deliveries over the year, and this invoice relates to that last, final, most recent delivery. So it's effectively, well, I say effectively, it's a zero-sum game. The association outlays the fees to bulk buy these cartridges. That saving, bar a little bit extra to counter the interest, is then passed on to the association members, and then the association purchase those cartridges from the association, and the funds are received. It is quite literally a zero-sum game, even taking into account the interest that we would lose. So there is no cost to the membership. There is no cost to the association. And I'm not even the one distributing the cartridges. So, I mean, if there's free cartridges going, I would like to know where. And not to be necessarily unfair to other members of this association and the previous regional director, but the brand that is being purchased is Cheddite. Do I need to say anything more? Like, really? Anybody that has watched this channel for a long time, like, shotgun, I spent a very long time using. I started using Game Bore. I moved over to Hull, then to Ely, and now I'm sort of back to Hull. I've literally never fired a Cheddite cartridges Cheddite cartridge in my life. And for full disclosure, I was actually given 2 boxes, or more aptly, I won 2 boxes at a match. It was the last Galloway Arms match, which will tell you how long ago. Again, long before I ran for the role of treasurer. So that is literally, I do have 2 boxes of these cartridges because I won them. I won them at a match. And Vanessa, who runs those matches, was well known for using that on the prize table. Again, those were purchased from the UKPSA by the club running that match and then given out. So yeah, you got me. I got 2 boxes of free Cheddite because I won a Section 2 division, and the cartridges had already been paid for by the club running the competition. So you got me. Yeah, there we go. There's the truth behind all of that. So yeah, what next? I can fully understand maybe a disappointment from the membership in terms of this facility, because in fairness and in honesty, it hasn't been well publicized. Kevin is very active on the circuit and would, I guess, promote it to anybody that he came into contact with and saw, because they are also branded. They've got the UKPSA on them, so people were like, "Oh, cool! Where did you get UKPSA branded cartridges?" And then we say, "Well, if you want to buy some, you can buy them from the association, and I can pass them on to." So it wasn't widely communicated to the members, and I can completely understand that it should have been, and potentially it wouldn't have allowed somebody to grossly distort the facts around these cartridges if the membership was better aware of the facilities. Yeah, if the facility does continue, if we do go to buy more cartridges, 2 BB guns and BB pellets and BBs, BBs, gas, whatever, I can assure you it will be better. It will be better communicated, and members will be better made aware of it. So, apologies for my part on that, but there you go. There's the full thing. I hope I hope anybody in explaining that can see exactly what's going on now. All the money is received. Your money isn't being spent to pay for my shooting or anybody else's. What else? What other? Oh yes, the sponsorship. The sponsorship. Me deciding to just hand out sponsorship agreements to anybody that I see fit. Well, first of all, this proposal for the sponsorship was it was just that. It was a proposal. It was never approved. It was very briefly discussed. Now, I had put up a not put up. I had written a proposal. I'd forwarded it to the secretary. Unfortunately, it wasn't distributed to the rest of council prior to the council meeting, and basically, I was left to sort of verbally describe this proposal that I had for a sponsorship scheme, basically sponsorship, supporters, trade membership, whatever you want to call it. And because nothing in writing had been presented, and there were also some further things to go and check in terms of compliance with the charity commission and all of that in how it needs to be administrated to appease them. It was decided not to move forward with it at that point, and I would then re-propose it. What is interesting and is one of the proposals of this individual that's launched these allegations is, funnily enough, exactly what I had envisioned putting forward to council. And effectively, what I was trying to put forward is the trade membership that is offered by the NRA and offered by the BASC, right? If you want to join BASC or the NRA, you can do so as a commercial entity. And the reason, the incentive for me doing this is because I've been hounded by people that quite literally want to give the UKPSA money as their corporate entity and support the association and be an official supporter or an official trade member. And as treasurer, it's like, I've got people offering me money, and I can put it to good use. Like, I'm sure the members can think of a few ways of putting this money to good use. And also, to be completely clear, there are no official sponsorships of the UKPSA. There is no official trade membership. There is no official supporters of the UKPSA. There is no agreements in place that's, that applies to companies that I may be involved with, and companies that I may be friends with directors, and also people that I don't know or potentially don't even potentially like that much. There literally is no agreements in place with any corporate entity, with any, with any sponsorship or all of that. Now, I think where some of the confusion had come is that there had been previous agreements and there were logos on the UKPSA website. Now, this is something for the past year I had been asking to be removed. I'm like, nobody can provide to me the agreements that we hold with any sponsors or official supporters. So why are we displaying logos of companies that the association and its members are not receiving a benefit for? Now, I use ad blocker. So I'd seen these logos and then I'd gone back on there and my ad blocker had actually hidden the logos. So as far as I was concerned, the logos had been removed as I had discussed and requested. Upon, more recently, finding out that no, they are still there. But the interesting thing is, despite this obviously being a ploy for me to just benefit my own companies and benefit friends of my friends and their companies, there were still logos of companies that I have left quite publicly, and have had nothing to do with since. And there were also, and yes, Magload was one of the logos up there because previously Magload, actually prior to me becoming involved, was classed as an official supporter, whatever the agreement was back then. But also within the logos was a direct competitor of Magload, who we had previously removed their dealer account from. So again, if I'm sort of, as corrupt as this individual says, why would I be putting companies I no longer have anything to do with, and in some circumstance don't wish to have anything to do with, and companies that are in direct competition with us and that we have removed their dealer account for various reasons? Again, there doesn't seem to be a lot of logic and sense here. But those logos were up there erroneously. They shouldn't have been up there, but there is no official sponsorship and all of that. And I think we should be trying, if companies want to support this association, we are transitioning away from an amateur sport. We are heading towards a professional sport, and professional by definition needs money. And you look at one of the biggest issues that has taken place this, well, one of the biggest issues that faces us in 2024 is the lack of matches, right? And if you talk to anybody that runs a match, be that mini rifle, be that shotgun, be that action air, it's purely that either the clubs are too small and can't afford to put on the matches, or a lot of the ranges are now businesses and commercial entities, and they need to look at sustainability, and they can't be making huge losses. So one of the biggest issues I think that we see face these see face the matches is money. So don't we want to get more of it in so that it can be supported better? Do we not want to have trade memberships, to have official supporters? Now, of course, within this proposal as well is that I propose that the membership, again, well, I do need to liaise with the charity commission and see what they require. The membership, the trade membership scheme would be run just like in what I have planned at the moment, just like any other member applying to the UKPSA, be that an individual member or be that a club to affiliate. It is put forward to council to vote on. Now, of course, the allegation here is that the council is just full of all my friends who are going to vote exactly how I asked them to. I think the record will show that that's really not the case. I think it would be fair to say that not everybody on council is would consider me a friend, and I probably wouldn't consider a lot of people on council friends as well. But that doesn't stop us from professionally and efficiently running an association. You don't need friends. You don't need to be friends to work with somebody. It doesn't hinder us. But it's certainly not the case that they're just all my buddies and they're going to vote exactly how I want them to. There will be a number of people, I'm sure, very quick to go, yeah, no. And there has been a lot of um, a lot of people holding me to task throughout the year, as they should within council. I would say council, at its current size, is a pretty good representation of the membership. Probably it's in some ways, it probably is disproportionately representative of some areas of our membership, but in a good way. Um, so, yes, this notion that I'm just going to firstly create this scheme and just sign up whoever I want. No, the plan was to have the same processes for membership approval as we currently do for any other membership. So it will be voted on and approved by council as a whole, not just one individual, because having more people have more votes is more democratic. Of course, the reversal of that would be to reduce the number of voting people so that it's only a very few amount of people that therefore then have a lot more power and can then make more unilateral decisions. So you have to ask yourself, in terms of future of the association, do you want a good number of people having a say and input on the on its running and direction, or do you just want a small group, a very small, I don't know, say 5 people, pretty much able to do. So basically, it would only take 3 people to steer the association in whatever direction they want to steer it. Whereas at the moment, you need at least 10. I can't remember the exact number of voting members. It does vary each year. You need about 10. So would you want 3 people able to steer the association, or would you rather it be a bit more balanced and 10? Maybe the sort of average 20 number of people is a bit too much. The NRA has 15 voting members of council. Perhaps we could reduce the amount of people that vote on council, and perhaps we could increase the amount of people that are democratically elected into the position. I don't think any of that is illogical or nonsensical. I think in the pursuit of more transparency, less corruption, and more democracy, reducing the amount of people that can vote is exactly the opposite of that. But I don't know. You're all entitled to your opinions on that. So yeah, we could look at increasing the amount of voting positions. NROI chair could be a voted position on. Chair of UTC could be a voted position on. Our president could be, and vice presidents could be voted positions on. Now, we don't currently have any vice presidents, but there is the room for 2 there. So just with NROI and UTC chair and president and the vice presidents, there's 5 more people that the membership are voting on. But as it stands at the moment, I think the membership are fully aware that you vote for 5 members of exec, and you are then entrusting that executive council to form and appoint the rest of council. That's been well understood. So if you don't trust somebody to appoint, or have a input in appointing the rest of council, then don't vote for that person. That's a key. I think that's a key area to understand, and you've got to think of that. Are they going to go for the right sort of people on council? So that has to be a part of your vote. But yeah, in terms of changing up in the number of people that can vote and the number of people elected, I think increasing the number of people being elected is a far better way to increase the level of democracy within an association. Certainly not removing the amount of people that can vote. That just seems daft. So yeah, there's all the sponsorship. This wasn't some ploy to just have EnglishShooting as the new official media partner of the UKPSA. It was generally, I have companies, and actually companies that have been long supporting the sport and practical shooting um, since before I was born. You know, I some very long-standing companies that want an official defined list of benefits for supporting the association and a set fee annually to have access to them. So, yeah, again, sort of um, no issues there as far as I see it. Let me have a look. Daniel, it's good to get everything out and cleared up. Now let's see the sport come together and not shit on one another. That would be a nice change. Yes, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, the sport loses in all of this, and it's a crying shame. It really is. I think again, anybody that has watched the channel over this year, I have really genuinely, and I'm not going to laugh as or smile as I say this, I've genuinely tried to bite my tongue. I've genuinely tried to mature, to move forward, to be more professional, be a better person. Ugh. Um, and it's just sad that others aren't able to do the same. Um, you know, I'm aware I've been a little gobshite on YouTube. I have that sort of reputation. I've been saying things that probably I shouldn't have for a very long time. But I think it's also very fair to say in the last year or two, I feel like there has been an increased immaturity on this channel. The topics that I approach and the way that I approach them. And despite the ongoing goading and elevated goading by some people to get their desperate fix of attention from me, I've not bitten. And this was, part of the reason I really didn't want to get involved in this, but I'm not doing this to appease the individual that have made these allegations. I'm doing it for the supporters of this channel and more importantly, the members of the UKPSA. I think there have been some serious allegations thrown out, and I don't think you can get more transparent than a member of exec council doing weekly live streams. I like to be transparent and say it how it is and put everything out in the open. Absolutely nothing to hide. Uh, will Magload have a summer barbecue open day this year? Yes, we will. Oh dear, why am I being? Oh no. Oh no. Discord, you animals. Well, at least I got another emoji, but thank you. Where were we? Are we having a summer barbecue? Yes, we will. It always tends to turn into a winter barbecue because we say we're going to have it in summer, forget, and then end up holding it in November at some point. And I know we didn't have one we didn't have one last year. That's because holding it again in winter was not the best idea. We will be having a summer, or moreover, I think a spring, a kickstart. We're looking to hold a barbecue sort of earlier, maybe just before summer, as like a season kickstarter. For those who haven't been to like the Maglo barbecues before, it's basically a big open day. We tuck away all the machines and spinny, dangerous, sharp bits so that you can come on into the into the unit, have a look around, hang out for the day. There's a barbecue, free burgers, free hot dogs, drinks, and whatnot. There will have to be, not necessarily free, but there will have to be bourbon and cigars. Bring your own bourbon, bring your own cigars, and yeah, we just sort of spend the day having a just a nice, cool, chill out. And if you fancy buying anything, that is always a bonus. It does help pay for the burgers and the sausages. And who knows? Maybe it will even be a magazine launch party. Um, that's because you wasn't running for treasurer. I don't know. Where are the cartridges then? How much are how do? I guess you're asking where the cartridges are. That's the with Kev Nostalgia. How many? I haven't had a recent stock take of them, so I don't know how many there are left at the moment. The last delivery was 24,000, and I believe the last delivery was in November. So there could still be quite a lot of cartridges left and available. In terms of prices, let me find the prices. Who is that? Sam Davison, thank you very much. Appreciate the support. In your personal opinion, would you say PRS is a form of practical shooting? Yes. I was thinking, I'm sure I'll get in trouble for it because, of course, it's the United Kingdom Practical Shooting Association. But yeah, a PRS is it does depend on your definition of practical, but and there will be some very devout people out there who go, no, it's not true practical. It's practical. It's certainly a lot more practical than like Olympic shooting. But yeah, I think PRS would be considered as practical shooting. It's certainly not IPSC, but then not all. Technically, like cowboy action can be considered practical shooting. If your definition of practical shooting is sort of dynamic, time-based, slash accuracy-based shooting. Yeah, it just depends on your exact definition. But yeah, I would class it. Cost of cartridges, sorry. Where oh no, on the wrong sheet. So currently, the cartridges are £264 per 1,000, and £70 per 250. If you are interested in purchasing any UKPSA branded Cheddite cartridges, depending on if we do have any left, I am waiting for a current stock take from Kev. It might be that they have all been sold, but yeah, if you do want to buy them and there are still some available, then you can get into contact with me, treasurer at ukpsa.org, or shop at ukpsa.org. I don't know if Kev still has his email, so you can just direct them. You direct them at me. That's not an issue at all. Because Roberts, I was not aware members could buy cartridges having shot a few level 3s. Yes, I think there was a lot of people. This was potentially the biggest complaint that I've seen. Oh dear, what are you talking about? Oh, Discord. Yes, it certainly could have been better promoted. I don't necessarily want to just pass the buck on that. Member of council, member of exec. What I think you have to remember is that the treasurer is just there to, keep faithful records of all transactions. Submit the accounts to the auditors and present the accounts to the members. And basic financial functions day in, day out. It's it is technically the job of the PRO or the comms or media, but I don't have an answer for why it wasn't better publicized. It certainly wasn't to hide anything. It certainly wasn't, because Kev, it didn't matter if we were selling. This is the thing. It's not like he was hoarding cartridges. My precious Cheddite. Maybe I should call him Gromit because it's like cheese. But anyway, that's a weird introduction. I don't know. Whenever I say Cheddite, I just think cheese. Anyway, Cheddite cheese. It's like Cheddar Gorge. Well, that's just cheddar, isn't it? It's just fucking cheese, Callum, you mong. Anyway, so where was I? Yes, it's not like Kev was just trying to hoard shotgun cartridges. My precious. If we started selling, we were buying. I think it's around 50,000 cartridges a year. If they were selling out, and that was 2 deliveries over the year, roughly give or take, they yeah, if suddenly we were selling out of cartridges, or Kev had been selling out of cartridges far quicker, we would have just placed a bigger order. It was never to like keep it to the special few or anything like that. Like literally, I have access to the accounts. I can see the members that have been purchasing these cartridges, and it's far and wide, from all areas of the country. You know, older members, younger junior members, female, male members, literally a cross section of all of our members were using these. And yes, it is unfortunate that you had to, I guess you had to know Kev or know somebody that used those cartridges, and it sort of was a word of mouth thing. Again, absolutely should have and could have been better promoted to the membership. Andrew, based upon the RFD defense, where does normal or ordinary business of an RFD stipulate competition? Stipulate competition is a genuine activity. It will be, I can't remember the specifics that my solicitor says, but I think it's marketing, it's or it's testing and development. Oh, my emails are closed because I'm streaming. Basically, it doesn't have to define competition specifically, as the RFD defense. It has to define, um, something that you can do within a competition. We can't market our products, our our competition. We can't design products for competition that are used within competition, develop them within competition for people to go and enter competitions without entering competitions, right? We can't market our products that are meant to be used in competition without marketing them within competition. And I think it's fair to say I'm a fairly all right shot. Um, uh, there's sort of, and when we look at it, the Maglo team, it's like, yes, we have world champions on it. Unfortunately, well, the previous world champion was in Finland and the current one is in Brazil. They're a little tricky to get to, and probably not financially viable for us to be popping off to Finland or Brazil every 5 minutes to get video and promotion of new products from our world champions. But Connor shoots standard manual and shotgun. I shoot standard. So between the two of us, we're pretty much able to cover our bases for the products that we make and we develop and we test and we market and produce. So yeah, I mean, please tell me if there's something, unless what you're suggesting is that we basically stage a competition, pay 100 or so people ROs, build it up, and rent an entire range for a weekend, to show our products in a competition, rather than just paying 100 quid entry and just ourselves going in with a camera and doing it. I mean, you can run a business like that for a short period. We basically want to get the most cost effective marketing as possible for the smallest amount. And us going in competition, not only are we able to test and develop within those competitions, but we're also able to generate the marketing material to produce. And the thing is, I've got transcripts of various interviews with Hampshire Firearms Licensing. Connor's told them straight up, like, we are a competition based company. Our main focus in competition. I need this RFD to go into competition and develop products for competition. And then Hampshire turn around and are just like, oh, this is all a shock. How dare you use an RFD to go into competition? And the thing is, you talk to any RFD that has been around, more than 5 years, like, all of them use their RFD in competition, right? It's only when I do it that suddenly it's, oh no, you can't do that. Tony Butty Cheddite equals Shedite. Shall I say? See what I did there. Why was my comment deleted? If so, why? I didn't see it. Unlike other channels, there are no comments being deleted, as far as I'm aware of. I do have a moderation team, and Dan can get a little ban ban happy. Uh, um, Rob, lots of talk. One thing for sure, you shower better. Get your act. You shower better. Get your act together, or the membership will beat you out. That is that's their prerogative. If the membership are not happy with how we've dealt with things throughout the year, we've dealt with this or what I've provided you this evening, the membership can vote out. That's the great thing about a democratically led association. If people don't think I am suitable for the job or fit to continue, or they think somebody else can do a better job, they can vote for somebody else. That's completely up to them. I do want to know what you mean by shower better. Um, I see Rob is deleting his own comments, but YouTube keeps a record of them. Anyway, Stigo, wait, what am I missing on Discord? Joys of watching on my phone. Can't watch both. We'll get TV then, mate. Or a laptop. PRS is practical sport. It's not an IPSC practical sport by definition. Absolutely. Bisley does PRS now. Will you give in a try? Give it a try, or give in and try. Yeah, I've been saying for a very long time I'd love to give it a go. I really do like the look of it. I think it would be fun and exciting, and a new challenge. Of course, I will remain devout on IPSC is the best form of practical shooting, of course, but we are open to others. Andy, just going off topic, but big thanks for the email from Konstantin Christofi with the update regarding the pre-order magazines. No worries at all, even if it was me that actually wrote it. But you didn't hear that. It was all Connor's. He can take all the glory on that one, and all the flack too. So yeah. But yes, it was long overdue. We did actually want to put that out pre-Christmas, but we thought let's just give everyone a break of magazines over the Christmas. Too much work on, especially dealing with Callum. Do you have your licenses back yet? I would rewind the stream and go back to the start if I'm not doing all of that again. Modest Callum, I'm a fairly all right shot. I don't know if there's sarcasm there or it was fairly all right. I wouldn't say I'm the best. I'm all right. I can hold my own. I can not embarrass myself most of the time. Hey, at least I can stay on 2 feet. I volunteer for that match. I'll test some gear and get paid. What? I'm talking about get paid for a match. He's called you Stinky. Hope. He's called you. What is going on in these comments? One thing for sure, you shower better. Get your act. Like if you would like it to be more specific in how to get the act together, then please. He is stinky. Yes. Now continued personal attacks. Great. I mean that is potentially the most laughable thing about it is, oh yes, this isn't personal. This isn't a personal attack, and then proceeds to personally attack me and make it very personal. And I'm not going to base this on hearsay, he said, she said. Then proceeds to say, recant a story that he said, she said. It's like it just anyway. Yeah, it's just a bit. Did you not just hear what you just said? And again, if tangible evidence wants to be brought forward, then fine. Otherwise, retract the statement. I'm more than happy. I mean, I'm fairly disappointed. I am fairly disappointed. I thought there would be a lot harsher grilling. Yeah, okay. Well, I think we've peaked at over 100 people watching this evening at one point. So, at most, that's just under 10% of the UK PSA membership. But I mean, this is what I mean. It's like if there was if there was sort of serious, genuine concerns and people had serious, valid points, like it's pretty easy to challenge me. I stream regularly live, and there's a chat box, and people can freely come and raise questions, as difficult as they may want to be. And I may not always be able to provide an answer, not just about UKPSA or Treasurer, about myself or whatever. I may not know the answer, but I always pursue to relay the truth to anyone. I sort of pride myself in being quite a transparent, open book a lot of the time. I think by definition of running a YouTube channel and doing regular streams and sharing quite a lot of what I get up to, that's sort of by definition. Um, and I don't think I ever claim to be anything I'm not. But anyway, other than a fairly all right shot. Uh, Back for the fun stuff. Again, guys, if there are any questions about this whole accusation, or any of these accusations, or UK PSA or Treasurer, or just anything about the association or practical shooting or IPSC, just fire away. Like seriously, I don't care what inflammatory questions you may have. Again, I can prove the GT4 was purchased prior to becoming the treasurer. I just want to again clarify that one. um, Aaron T, how would you rate Cotswold Classic Arms AR-15? I would rate them as some off. Oh, actually, I don't know this. Are you standing for re-election? This was actually one of the things that I was. Sorry, Aaron T. I will get back to your question. This was one of the things I was meant to put forward early on in the stream. But yes, I will be standing for re-election as treasurer of the UK PSA. I still feel that there's quite a lot that I can offer the association, despite unfounded allegations. I think I've done a fairly okay job the past year. The accounts that have just been submitted to the auditors are looking very, very healthy. We certainly haven't frittered away any funds. So yeah, the association isn't bankrupt. We've still got funds, and we still have members. So I think overall and I've been able to keep faithful records of transactions in and out of the association. So I think at the bare bones of it, I've managed to do the job and not burn the house down. So there's still a lot of things that I have been working on, that I want to continue working on. There's some things that I've not yet achieved that I wanted to achieve within the role, mainly Mochaccino, sorting out the shop. Now that is one of the points that I really wanted to get nailed by the end of the year. Mochaccino, as you know, I am very heavily dependent on your goodwill and time in progressing the UK PSA shop, and unfortunately, Mochaccino has had to fill in more urgent roles. I'm sort of doxing you at this point, but anyway, I'm sure people are used to it. Are used to it. Yeah, basically. Sorry, got earwax in my ears. What UK PSA hop? Well, exactly. Actually, um, basically, I've been trying to get the shop up and running. I am reliant on another member of council to achieve that, but they have been pulled off onto far more important, urgent work that they never signed up to do, yet is required for the running of the association, and that they've had to fill in. So, not to add too much to their plate, sort of gone. They've got their hands full, probably doing more than all of us combined. So, I will get to the shop at a point. So yeah, the shop is something that I'd like to complete. We could have the rest of the Cheddite cartridges put on there, and yeah, I really want to nail down this sort of trade membership, and have a defined, structured sort of template agreement that we can use impartially and without favor with the commercial entities and other entities that want to support this association, not just as a club um, or a or a member. Um, there's certainly a lot more to do with maybe shop before magazines. Yeah, yeah, there's a lot more to do with grants as well to publicize grants. Unfortunately, our PRO stepped down, and I had sort of big plans of working directly with them to sort of get all of this into fruition. Um, but yeah, there's still, I think, a lot more that I can offer, and certainly there's a lot more I can offer in bringing the association forward and moving it forward. And I think more importantly, I actually understand the key challenges that faced our association, because I actually look at the facts and the figures, not what I just think, and therefore it's true. Things like capping safety courses to 50 quid. The issue with the issue with like match attendance and matches, and people eligible to shoot matches, is not down to the cost of safety courses, right? That was one of the proposals, and yeah, the, having a safety course that is £195, I think, is what Blue Field Sports charges, and Magload, we've previously run courses at £180. That's a fair chunk of money that may people may have to save up a little longer and not be able to get in the sport straight away because of that. But there are instructors running courses for as low as £70 out of their own goodwill, mainly because they don't have to pay for full range, for range hire. However, on the specific topic of competition licenses, like regardless of 195, £180 or £70, the people charging £195 are selling out their courses. When we as Magload were running it, bar one or two, we had full attendance. In actual fact, we had to get another instructor in because we had such a long waiting list. So people aren't put off by spending that amount. It's actually the availability of safety courses which is one of the biggest issues. There aren't as many instructors as there could be to put on safety courses. So perhaps that's where we should focus our funds. Making it so that people can't commercially run safety courses is only going to reduce the amount of safety courses available. And if the issue is the amount of availability of safety courses, then why would you want to reduce the amount available? And people are free to pay what they want to pay. There are safety courses for 70 quid, safety courses for 100, 120, 150, £195. People aren't forced to pay one price. And that is, the beauty of living in a, capitalist society, is that there is competition. There's commerce, right? And again, if we are heading towards a more professional sport, then surely we need more money within the sport to put back into it. But the real crux of it is this notion that somehow safety courses is the reason for lower match attendance and therefore the lower number of matches, is just utter bollocks. And again, sort of just demonstrates the complete lack of understanding around the key issues and of our sport and the association and IPSC within the UK. And I'm desperately trying to find the figures on this. So as of January 2024, there were 1,924 competition licenses within the GB region. There were are 1,213 long full bore competition licenses. That qualifies you for both shotgun and mini rifle. The largest match entry of 2023 was 149 people at the Coats of Iron up at North Coats Butts, with the average attendance across all level threes of 93 people. So we have a pool of 1,213 people able to attend mini rifle or um, mini rifle shotgun level threes, and yet the maximum attendance was 149 people. The issue isn't the amount of people that have competition licenses. In 2023, we had near double the amount of new competition licenses issues than the largest match attendance at the largest attended match. So yeah, I going off on one about restricting, people from making money from safety courses. Well, I'm sorry, what incentive do yeah, of course, the running of the sport and the furtherance of the sport, but becoming an instructor takes years, right? It takes a huge amount of time, a huge amount of commitment, a huge amount of um investment, both in time, physically, and financially. So you need to, there needs to be some incentive to go and do it. And if part of that incentive is that they can go and subsidize their own shooting, then fantastic. That is more incentive for them to come in and do it. But what's going to happen when you declare that the UKPSA is going to cover any expense over 50 quid? Well, the Rangers are just going to put their prices up. Well, hang on a minute. UKPSA are going to pay for it, so we can charge whatever we want. So you're going to increase the cost of safety courses to the UKPSA. What is it going to cost to subsidize it? Has anybody actually stated that or asked that question? Is it actually sustainable to make a suggestion like that? And even if it is sustainable, if the issue doesn't exist, because again, we have 10 times the amount of people eligible to compete in level threes than are actually competing in level threes, then why would we spend that money on an issue that doesn't exist? So I think all that really has happened at the end of the day is somebody has just continued their historical, long-standing personal vendetta against myself, and actually exposed that they really don't know what they're talking about. And actually, a lot of the ideas and suggestions that have been put forward are, again, if you really understand the facts and the figures and you understand the sport and how it's run, is incredibly dangerous. But then, of course, ultimately, what they are suggesting is that we burn the sport, we burn the association to the ground and start afresh. So I don't know. Maybe that's what people want. Okay. But I think the only point that is potentially laughable in all of this is to say that I'm in some way part of the old guard and I want to maintain the status quo. It's like, no, 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 come on, that's just funny, right? From the very inception of this channel, I've been challenging the status quo. Now, I didn't want to go into the roller's treasure and burn everything down and start afresh and make massive changes, but I certainly want to see the association change. I certainly want to see it move forward and progress and not stay stagnant. Like, to suggest that I am part of the old guard, the part of the jobs for boys and all of that is just simply laughable. And I think anybody that again has watched this channel for any period of time and truly does know me, you will understand how ridiculous of a statement that is. And not forgetting that again, that's coming from somebody that has been in the sport far longer than I have, is certainly a little bit more old and crusty than I am, and has a track record of wanting to tear things down and start again. Yes, there of course are improvements to be made, and you know, with my re-election campaign, I think after spending the year really getting a look at the history of the association and speaking to a lot of people that have spent a lot of time building the sport in the UK and internationally, I really think I'm in a much better place than I certainly was a year ago to continue pushing forward and trying to solve some of the problems that we have. And and modernise the association where we can. Anyway, Stigo, do you think there is a risk of non-active members voting you out without knowledge of your story past the headlines you tried to put to bed tonight? Absolutely, yes. I think certain individuals are relying on that, but I think, funnily enough, I think I can't sit here and ignore the fact that there are various fractions within the UKPSA, and which is sad, right? And I've always done my absolute best to support absolutely every element of the sport, every discipline, every club, every range, every match. Um, I really do try to support, and I don't care about the internal politics. Like we we get attacked enough from the outside, and I think ultimately the biggest issue is you look at what's happened this last year, right? The amount we had a couple of half-assed articles written by some rag newspaper up in Scotland, right? That was the attack. That was the external attack we had, and all that did is actually increase the amount of membership in at Recoil, right? But you see what has gone on throughout the year, and the biggest source of attack is actually coming from within our association. How are we ever going to effectively coordinate a defense against further bans or restrictions on this sport if we can't even just get on and act like adults? And I think potentially talking to some individuals and getting sort of a feel for how the membership generally has reacted. I might be sitting in my own little echo chamber and completely oblivious, but I think whatever pri- predominant division or fraction that used to exist, I think what this has done is actually potentially brought those two fractions closer together. Because whilst I might not want to, maintain the status quo, and I want to push things forward, and I want to modernize, and I may want to, do things that would some people might consider a bit of a maverick. Um, I think I've demonstrated that's, I'm not going to do anything extreme and drastic and dangerous in this position. So, anybody that maybe has or had reservations about what I would do in the role, I think are certainly going to have a lot of reservations about what this other individual is going to do in the role. And I don't know, the general feedback that I've had so far is that actually it's like, well, you're not there stood with the petrol and matches ready to burn down and tear down something that we've spent 40 years building. I want to add to it. I want to change it. I want to put a conservatory on and a 3-car garage, not literally. Um, and I might want to get the driveway resurfaced and maybe some new double glazing. Maybe a new combi boiler. I want to improve it. I want to make it better. Is what my vision exactly to the taste of somebody else? Probably not, but it's still going to be a pretty cool, comfy home. Why have we got onto to home? It's probably because I'm doing a lot of renovation, not with UKPSA money. I would add. Um, but yeah, I want to improve it. I want to make it better, and there is still a lot to improve. I'm not going to sit here and say that the association or the sport is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And I think you should be wary of anybody that says that they can overnight flick a switch and make everything perfect. Mark, hit that like button. Absolutely. I did see somebody comment about the glass. Yes, I've stopped using stemless wine glasses and now have a proper whiskey glass. The biggest divide in shooting, the biggest divide in the shooting community should be if a sausage or bacon baps are better for a range day. Now that is a discussion that can start wars. So I know what you're saying, but that is a very, very serious, a serious conversation. Fun story. Connor's at a match. Now, Connor's has a distinctive look about him. I think that's fair and accurate. And we end up going to a match. He's ROing this match, and as part of that, you got a free bacon or sausage bap. You can see where this is going. And the guy comes up to him and goes, "Do you want breakfast?" And Connors is like, "Yeah." Like asking if Connors wants food is, it's like asking if the Pope's Catholic. And you could just see this. Do you want a sausage bap? And Connors is like, "Why? What is the other option of bap?" "Bacon bap?" Connors is like, "I'll have the bacon bap, thank you very much." "Oh, good, thank you." There we go. Hands it over. Nothing wrong with people that don't want to eat bacon baps. But the fear and just the sort of anticipation on this guy's face, or trepidation on this guy's face, was beautiful. And Connors squeezed every ounce of trepidation out of him, and is used to doing so. And which sauce to have? Ooh, I'm sorry, I'm just a ketchup guy through and through. I see the merits. I see the merits of brown sauce and HP. I really do. Occasionally, I may be swayed, but you just can't beat ketchup. You just can't. Just really can't. Barbecue and a sausage bap, but always ketchup. Sometimes, I'm not saying always, ketchup and sausage bap is still peak bappage. Um, but barbecue and a sausage bap sometimes, oh, yeah, it just hits the spot. Oh yeah, sorry. Cotswold Classic Arms. Some of, if not the best rifles on the market. I might be a little biased because that's one of the ones that I use for competition. It's also what Connors uses for competition. It's also what Paul is going to use for competition. But I think pretty much exclusively the top 5 for mini rifle in terms of results have been with Cotswold Classic Arms built rifle. So if you're looking for competition, if you're looking for performance in competition, really it's got to be Cotswold Classic Arms. HP sauce. Barbecue or ketchup behave. Daddy's brown all day. I think this is where we're really going to see a north-south divide. I'm sorry to bring it down to brass tacks here, but I think it's fair to say Southerners do lean towards ketchup. Northerners, I don't know, brown sauce or gravy, whatever. So a choice of pork sausage bap or a pork bacon bap. Maybe it wasn't sausage, but it was a non-bacon alternative that. Oh, I can't remember. It sounds silly, but he did waver at offering Connors a bacon bap. That's which was quite fun to see. Other than Lita, I'm Southern, obviously not that Southern. Get back up there, you imposter. Just FYI I actually spoke to Otto at Cotswold Classic Arms today. If you are interested in a battle arm or aero, he is getting a batch in that should be ready. I think he said mid-February. There has been quite a long delay. We were talking because we have a number that are on order for customers. So either get in contact with him, or if you want to order an aero or battle arms, you can. We have a few spare guns on order with him. If you want to add to that, and I can give him a call again and see what sort of availability is going to be. So you can either get in contact with Magload or Cotswold Classic Arms. But yeah, if you do want a Cotswold Classic Arms, I would not sleep on this batch, because it's taken Otto, I think, well over a year to get this batch of rifles done. So be quick. But yeah, you can get in contact with Otto or in contact with myself, Callum, CALLUM, at maglow.co.uk, or you can use the contact us form on the website. Steve, I hate to break it to you, but from where I'm sitting, anything north of Cambridge is north. I'm sorry. I am truly Southern, born and bred. I have pretty much exclusively only ever lived on the coast. Apart from marrying my sister and moving over to the Isle of Wight, I couldn't really get much more southern. But yeah, anything, some people like to say like the Dartford crossing, M25, north of London, anything north of Cambridge, north, you know. Daniel, anything above the M4 is northern. Yeah, but the M4 sort of intersects London and, anything north of like Oxford Street. Anything north of the equator is north. No, Cambridge. Cambridge is now the equator of the world. A true Southern gentleman. Absolutely. We did have other topics that I wanted to discuss this evening. You married your sister, really? No, I said I could. I don't actually have a sister, so I can't. But if I wanted to get more southern, marry my sister and move to the Isle of Wight. Have I missed anything? Well, you guys are usually pretty good at holding me to account and nailing me to a post. Is there anything else that I've missed that I should really cover? I don't. I don't think so. I think we've pretty much covered it all. Again, if you have any questions, like, and maybe after the stream, maybe you're not watching this live, maybe you can't stomach that, and you're watching this afterwards, and you go, "Oh, he's corrupt because he hasn't touched upon this really benign small point that somebody's raised." Email me, right? treasurer@ukpsa.org. EnglishShooting@gmail.com. Again, if it's about UKPSA business, and please go through the proper UKPSA channels. Like, really nothing to hide, and I am more than happy to discuss and show whatever people need to feel comfortable that the association is in good hands. But ultimately, we use third-party independent auditors every single year for our accounts. We are required to before we submit them to submit them for filing. So, unless this is just a wide conspiracy, and bearing in mind the third party auditors are voted in by the members. So, maybe this is all one big conspiracy, and the auditors are in on it too. And the previous exec and treasurer and all of that, and it's all just be one big conspiracy. Okay, well, if you truly feel like that, then maybe the membership needs to appoint a new auditor, which we can do. But it's the membership that chooses to appoint the auditor and chooses the auditor. So they're being audited by an auditor by the members choosing. I don't really know how that leaves much room for corruption. Anyway, Callum loves being tagged. Or get in touch on Discord, you fucking bastards. It just depends. It just depends how quickly and sensibly you want me to respond. Oh dear, you guys. Daniel, no, because you'll mute me from my source choices. Look, I've got nothing against anybody preferring HP over bacon butt, over ketchup. That's your prerogative. What you want to do with your sauces is up to you. I was told anywhere past the Watford Gap is north. Yeah, that's another one. As an Oxfordshirean, I find the notion that Cambridge is southern insulting. Anything north of the Cotswolds? How about that? Can that be agreed? Although I don't really think you can get much more southern than the Cotswolds. But yeah, anyway, there were going to be some other topics discussed, but I've rambled on far too long on this sort of stuff. And let's be honest, this is all you guys wanted to talk about last week, and it's always talked about this week. So you got it in the end. Patience is a virtue, isn't it? But there, before you all head off, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Be same time. I don't know. Let's double check next week. Or next weekend we are out in Tenerife for, I know, Hard Life, for a level 3 mini rifle match. We are going, I might still be able to do the stream on the Thursday. But you'll see. I like, you know, I did say I might start doing, I do really need to get the dedicated video out in response to all of this stuff. So, you know, perhaps I might skip a week, but get a video out for once. But we don't know. We might see you same place, same time. But again, guys, I really cannot stress enough, if you've got any questions or any concerns about anything that's been aired recently, you can get in contact with myself. Like, literally, there is an abundance of ways to get hold of me. You can even, you know, if you don't want to deal with me, you address the chairman, because ultimately there have yet to be any concerns that I'm aware of officially raised. And not forgetting that the accusations and allegations that have been put out there are criminal. If people feel that strongly that there is criminal actions by myself or the rest of council, then, you know, get the police. You know, why aren't people, if we're embezzling money and stealing money, then surely that's a matter for the police. But you know, the lack of official proper processes being followed to deal with these obviously serious issues that this individual sees, I think actually suggests the actual validity of the issues that they've aired. But anyway, I will leave you all there. Again, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed. If you're going to be at the UK AGM, then I'd appreciate your support once again for Treasurer for 2024. And if there's anything I can do for you or your club in that role, then again, get in contact. More than happy to help where possible. But there we go, guys. Like, subscribe, have a fantastic week ahead. And of course, as always, hope to see you soon.